Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to another episode on Unbearable 73. It's time to review Sharpe's Battle. This is Season 3, Episode 2. So I'll say up front, this is probably the best episode since the first season, which is not to say that the previous, four episodes, three, have been bad or anything, but, I enjoyed this one probably the most since the first season, right? So it was one of the big improvements. Now, the tendency is still true in this film, right? But I've remarked upon this that it seems like there are either scenes that were filmed but cut or on film scenes that sort of tell you what happened between other scenes, right? But you don't necessarily need to see them to know they occurred because, so if you watch one scene and then you see you see the skip where the missing scene would be, get to the next one, you see something occurred, you can logically infer that maybe the troops had to go over there, then go over there, type of thing, So that seems like that's going to be a persistent problem for this show to the entirety of it. But this is the episode where that was the least of a problem, or the least problematic, I should say, of any episode of this series, right? And maybe that's because there weren't a lot of locations. There was where it opened and then where it went to, so to speak, where the fortress where the final battle was. So they didn't do a lot of jump cutting, as it were. Now, that being said, we're still in the Napoleonic Wars. We're at the point where Wellington is beginning to push into France, if I remember correctly. There's sort of a borderline between France and Spain. The Spanish have begun to come over to the English side, the British side, under King Ferdinand VII, I want to say. Again, I'm not a Napoleonic Wars expert. I remember briefly some of the stuff we studied in history class. I did a little bit of reading about it, around the time when I originally read the Three Musketeers. That's years ago, the first time I should say. That's when I got interested in French history, so I read a little bit more French history around that time, But it's not an area where I've done a deep dive, right? So if I misstate something about the Napoleonic Wars, for example, don't shoot me. Where was it? Okay, so now Sharpe, this episode plays upon the fact that it's a really nice scene, which hopefully I'll get on my scan through, between Wellington and Murray. I never remember the intel. They changed the guy playing him, like a different actor constantly, so I never remember the character's name. Sharpe's Battle. So let's look it up. Monroe. So Monroe and Mullins have a nice conversation. They basically established that Sharpe is basically one of Wellington's guys. He's kind of like he has his right hand guys who do some work, and he has his left hand guys who do other work. And Sharpe is kind of a mix of both. He's a right hand guy who do some of the left hand guy. Now, if you don't get that reference, the right hand is the sort of in your face battle, and the left hand is like the intelligence work, the black ops work. And Sharpe can do both. He kind of goes back and forth in both. Monroe is in charge of the left hand work, so to speak, in this reference. So we get a good sense of that in this one. We get some of the sense of the politics at play. With the Irish not wanting to be part of the British Empire, eventually to the Northern Ireland scenario, which I'm not going to get into the politics of. But there is propaganda, which is a nice thing to see. You don't see a lot of this in a lot of shows or films of like this, but the French are propagandizing to try, because there's a lot of Irish troops being called up and sent into battle under the British. The French have been wind up, as we learned in the episode, printing fake American newspapers which claim that the British are basically committing acts of atrocities against the Irish people back in Ireland, and because there's been some uprising over there. And the Irish troopers, and I'll explain, get upset by this, and that leads to some of the events in the show. So, why is that relevant? So the basic premise of this is that Sharpe's men are on patrol. They tick off a regional commander named Commander Wolf, or Commander Lupe, I guess you would say in the French, who was basically an evil jerk. He he has his men constantly doing horrible things to people. Like there's a scene where they show the men had tortured babies to death, and raped women and stuff like that, wiping out whole towns of people who were just innocent civilians. And Sharpe's men come across and have a conversation, and Sharpe caught two guys raping a woman, so he's gonna have them executed. And he does it right in front of the French commander, and the French commander swears eternal vengeance on Sharpe. And that sets up our antagonism for the episode. So then Sharpe gets command of a regiment sent from the Spanish king, who has an Irish honor guard. I guess there's a historical reason for that. Maybe he married an Irish queen or something at one point. And they're Irish men, but they've basically become Spanish people for decades or centuries. However long. But they're part of the Real Guard. The Real means royal. So King Ferdinand wants his honor guard to have some battle experience and battle renown, so he sends them up. It turns out they're basically show guards, so show soldiers, so to speak. So Wellington doesn't want them. He wants them to desert so they can just leave and get out of his hair. So he puts them on the front line, a place where they're likely to be constantly attacked. And then he puts Sharpe in command, and of course he views Sharpe as someone who will he'll make them work to train, but Wellington and Monroe Wellington thinks what'll happen is Sharpe's training methods will help drive them off, along with the terror of being on the front lines. I think Monroe manipulated Wellington to know Sharpe can get these men in shape with the Sharpe method and actually achieve a victory in the region. Okay? So that's kind of the plot, right? And then Wolfe and Sharpe have a sort of battle of wits and command structure in terms of the rest of the movie. What else do we need to know? Now let's just go through it and I'll talk. As usual, and thank you to ITV, but they're not copyright slamming me, unlike the SOBs at Netflix. When I do some Avatar reviews, I respect it. I skimmed through this, and obviously I'm praising it, but I'm being critical as well. Oh, that's one thing I want to point out. I think this is because for the past 15 or 20 years, especially, we as audience have become conditioned with military movies to have more. Like, we know if they say they have a platoon, that means I want to say 28 guys maybe, or 30 guys, something like that. I don't remember offhand. I think a squad is 7 or 8, 7 plus a sergeant or something like that. I'd have to. I'm not a military expert either. I'm just saying. So a platoon is a collection of squads, a certain amount of men in there, right? They kind of play fast and loose with the number of men under Sharpe's command, but it's basically a regiment. It's a lot more than we ever see at any one time on the camera. What I guess I'm betting is they may show 20 of them on camera at once, but those same 20 guys are playing like 50 or 60 different people, So when we see larger battle scenes, the way they cut it, you'll see like a bunch of dudes standing there shooting, and then they cut to another scene, a bunch of dudes standing there running in charge. It's the same dude, just in slightly different uniforms, so they look like different guys, but it's not the same character, it's just the same actor, right? So I think that's what they're doing to, because a lot of times just see Sharpe takes like 10 casualties, and only 20 guys with them, and all of a sudden you have 20 guys again. Well, you need to infer that he's joining from the rest of the regiment that's not in the scene with him, So let's take a look-see. So it always opens with a trawler to show you where it is. So the opening here is that Sharpe and his men, which is a rifle company, the chosen men, an attached rifle company to them, and a bunch of redcoats that are attached to them, are going on scouting and patrol. They meet a bunch of French officers, cavalry officers, and they take them out. Usual sort of stuff. There's Monroe and Wellington talking about what I mentioned. They're being sent that royal regiment from the king, and what they're going to do is they're going to inflict Sharpe on them. Again, these guys have some nice scenes together in terms of the quality of, okay, let me stop this for a second. So there's like a thing where you want to show, or you want to show, not tell, right? But sometimes you do have to tell. You have to have, and what they're really doing is showing. What they're showing here is Wellington, the leader, and his left-hand man, his intelligence guy who does the dirty work. Yeah, they're telling you about these troops, but what they're showing you is them coming up with a cunning plan to deal with the problem. They're showing you, right? So you can tell, but you should do it in the context of a show. All right. Now that's different from showing without any telling at all. You just depict the events or whatever. But so this is the case where they're not just info dumping at the screen. They're using that. They're using them interacting in a sort of leader with his left-hand man, dirty guy. Get the job done under the table type of scene, guy type of commander, and the politics of it and all that. So I really like this scene a lot. We'll play a touch of it and see.
Plenty, sir. That's the Royal Irish Company, my lord. Of His Most Catholic Majesty's Household Guard, under the command of Colonel the Lord Kiley, to attach itself to the forces.
Yeah, I can't play too much. I don't want to get dinged. But so if you go, this is just a great scene. If they had subtitles, I'd play a little more of it because I could do with the audio. But you gotta respect the copyright. If they're gonna, these people being cool with it, they're just letting me. I guess when I'm promoting it or whatever. Yeah.
We'll give them a liaison officer, of course.
Here we go.
Someone senior enough to smooth Kiley's feathers. But why not give them a drill master too?
I doubt Lord Kiley would like a certain major of our acquaintance.
Oh, I cannot think they'll take to each other, my lord. No.
Good. And give the puppets Richard Sharpe.
So see that's kind of the thing. Like, and here's when Sharpe encounters the horrors in the town. I wonder if that was a real gun. And now we're gonna get let's see if we can. So here's where we get the horrors. I believe so. No. Yeah. So he's cleaning up after the battle. I think he's seen it already. So yeah, I don't want to show it on screen. But he basically pulls a dead baby out. That the French had sort of tortured to death. This is Commander Loop, who's promised his men will always bring them home if they're alive, but he's a murderous scumbag. There's some nice character interaction on the screen here. I'm okay with that. That's Lord Riley. He and Sharpe eventually come to terms and gain respect to each other. Battlefield prowess and all does that sort of thing. This is Sharpe getting the command of the Irish Brigade. This is where he gets assigned his liaison officer. This is again Monroe. Monroe, the guy, all the actors who play Monroe, are like really good at playing how conniving this character and how like this character will do whatever it takes to get it to do Wellington's will, type of thing. Now here this guy here. So this is no. Where is he? Lord Wellington, rifleman. Lady Keeley, Runciman. Okay, this is Ian McNeice. If you see he's played. If you've seen British television, you know who he is. Okay, he's been in a lot of British TV, but Americans are probably gonna know who he is the most from the Dune, the Sci-Fi Channel Dune film from 2001. He played Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, and he was actually decent in that movie. I mean, I don't want to, talk. None of us, very few of us, talk about that era of Dune. There was a good effort. It just missed on some fun. Not a lot of people liked it, but it was a good effort. So. And I believe he filmed Dune. I'm trying to remember. He did that show, Doc Martin. in the 2000s. Like for 15 years, like or something. Like he played a character on that. He was in Rome. Remember HBO's Rome? He was the newsreader, which was great. Another great thing. I'm just trying to remember. What was it? Anyway, you've seen him in a lot of stuff, especially if you watch British TV. I don't want to belabor the point. But he's a funny role. He plays a sort of comedic relief character in this, and he does it pretty good. He doesn't take it too far. They don't take it too far with this character where it becomes a distraction. But you can see he amuses Sharpe, and he's like a little bit of a, like you could see that he eventually, as he says, he finds himself liking Sharpe. That Sharpe is a good officer. He's smart. He gets the job done. And Sharpe kind of sort of, I don't want to say bonds with him, because Sharpe ultimately seems to disrespect him for being a bit of a slob. He's a bit of a slob, right? But I think because he treats Sharpe fairly, unlike a lot of officers who look down on Sharpe because Sharpe is was an enlisted man first, I think that gains him a modicum of respect as well. So now we got this is Sharpe's exposure to the Irish enlisted men, and of course the officers come up and say, "What are you doing?" Well, he's training them. I mean, that's what it comes down to. That's Riley's wife. There's a subplot in there about Riley's wife and him being estranged because she had a miscarriage, which they play some aspects of really well. That's Ramona. That's Harper's wife. That's Sergeant Perkins Shaven, and this is the fortress they take command of with the Irish Royal Guard. And then he's gonna ride off. I think he has that's a Spanish woman who is alleged for the partisans, but she's actually a spy. Sharpe and his men steal some of the supplies the French stole from them. They set up a nice ambush here, and then the French have a counter ambush, but Sharpe's men fight it off. So again, really good warfare tactics here. It plays out pretty well in terms of battle, so I'm okay with that. And one thing I like about the battles in Sharpe is that they show people smartly sniping, like hiding partially behind a rock and kneeling down to minimize their profile, but also stay their aim. And you see guys doing that. Granted, the warfare style at the time was line up and shoot the guys in the front. But you even hear in early episodes of Sharpe where Sharpe says the French still line up in lines and you can take them out in lines by shooting fast enough. So I like that Sharpe, this show depicts militarily that they do that. That they take angles and snipe and whittle the guys down before they ever get close to hand-to-hand combat. So I think they've been, this is talking about, where are we? They're talking about the propaganda that I was mentioned earlier. This is where we find out that Wellington's wife wants to get back together with him. Not Wellington, Riley. Sorry, Lord Riley. And he doesn't because he can't. We find out later he can't take having a miscarriage. What was him? This is Sharpe and Harper bonding. And Harper's basically saying, "I got your back, buddy," type of thing. These two have great interaction on screen. There's the officers' dinner. One thing I will say, I did feel for Riley. Like early on, I thought I had a negative impression of him, but by the end of the show, I was sad for his death. That he deserved a better fate than that. This is Sharpe realizing that, thinking that they sent him on a suicide mission, because they just want to get rid of those Irish guys, and Monroe is just playing that up. He's letting Sharpe think that because Sharpe will get the best out of the men. And Wellington would prefer the men just desert because he didn't think they're savable. So Monroe achieves a victory for Wellington by having Sharpe train the shit out of these guys. So it's Harper and his wife were in and the baby. A little family interaction, good scene. Now we're building towards the tension of the final fight. There's some spying going on. This is interaction with Sharpe and what was his character's name? Runciman, Colonel General Runciman. They bring up again the propaganda works from the Spanish, and Sharpe reassures him that they'll be under control. Unbeknownst to them, since I think the spies already just left the camp, And this Sharpe's in a dark place. He gets amusement from this guy. After discussing things with him and getting the serious part of it, at the end he gets some amusement out of him by the guy's hijinks. And that guy just basically sleeps for the rest of the episode. Again, so we saw this that Sharpe trained the troops to hold the line and fire in order. Load, fire, and got the men to discipline, and they achieved the victory. And otherwise, they would have been slaughtered by the French because the French had numbers. And this is where we're on that loop. Does have a bit of a moral center. Like he thinks that his charisma will get to her, but he's about to grape her, but then she's willing to kill herself. So he's like, okay, I'll just imprison you. So he does have a limited degree of morality, even if it's practical morality, in which he needs her alive to get her husband to become a traitor. So. Now Sharpe and Riley have a duel over some issues. So what happened here is she convinced Riley to be turncoat because they have his wife imprisoned. So Sharpe challenges him to a duel to the death because he's a turncoat, and Sharpe is about to win. So Miranda shoots Sharpe, right? But then Riley, you'll see. I mean, I can show this. Riley, partially because the duel is disrupted, and partially because I think Riley realized that Sharpe's way is right. He basically kills the real traitor. Sold the soldier like what the now he said he wants to save his wife, but he's willing to. Although I have to wonder, okay. So did Riley and Sharpe set this up? Because it seemed a little contrived. I guess it's one of the things you won't know until you enter the book. But basically, this is where they revealed that the French are the ones spreading these false rumors about the all the death in the homeland. And we get to our battle because Sharpe's men are were pinned down, and he went to get and they're wondering why these guys didn't provide the other part of the ambush. The battle sequencing. It's a little more complex to describe to you, but it's really good, right? So this rallies the sort of troops. They head in. Sharpe's men did a nice little get. They all pretended to be shot and dead, which lured the French guys in, and they just rose up and shot them all. Now they're gonna lose Sergeant Perkins here, Corporal Perkins, but I think I wonder if there'll only be 3 of them in episodes going forward in the immediate company. This is where the Irish traitor shows himself. Harper hates that guy now, and he didn't betray his fellow soldier. He betrayed the Irish people themselves. What a tragedy, man! I just even bring tears to your eyes. To see one of the chosen men die if they fought so hard. And Loop takes out Riley, and then Sharpe comes up, and Loop's about to beat Sharpe, but Sharpe plays dirty, and then Sharpe gets Loop, basically. Pulls. Yep. Sharpe fights to win, not to fight with honor. You know, we get the funeral of Perkins and some sadness of Perkins and his love died. Sharpe gets a sort of reprimand because he was supposed to get the. He was honor. He was he. They see. This is why I think that Wellington and Monroe made a plan together, but Monroe thought, well, Sharpe could actually get these guys to win, so I'll just not tell Sharpe a few things. I think Wellington wanted Sharpe to know that he's supposed to drive these guys off with excessively hard training, but whereas Monroe made it seem like he was expendable with those guys, therefore getting Sharpe to get them into shape as opposed to driving them off. So I think that's the dynamic that we're seeing with these three guys right here. And the funeral, and then, of course, the usual walk away to Over the Hills and Far Away, the folk song from like the 1800s. All in all, a good episode, the best since the first season for sure. Some nice battles, some nice staging of battles with the kind of attack, counterattack, surprise ambush stuff going on. You know, another episode you guys should watch because this show is better than almost anything on TV nowadays. Anyway, my name is Matt. This has been an episode of Unbearable 73. If you like this, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. And if you didn't, you can dislike. Comment down below if you have any questions or whatever. And have a nice day.